Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. We are going to discuss one of the most important topic from central nervous system physiology, the cerebrospinal fluid, commonly known as CSF. We will understand what CSF is, how it's formed, how it circulates, what its functions are, and its clinical importance. Let's begin. CSF is a clear and colorless fluid that surrounds the brain and spinal cord. It acts as a protective cushion and helps to maintain a stable environment. It acts as a protective cushion and helps to maintain a stable environment for central nervous system. CSF is mainly formed by choroid plexus, which is a network of capillaries found inside the lateral third and fourth ventricles of brain. About 70% CSF is secreted from choroid plexus. In case of 30% is from ependymal cells lining the ventricles. Ependymal cells lining the ventricles, and also from brain's interstitial fluid. Total volume of CSF in an adult is about 150 milliliter. Of this, around 25 ml is in ventricle, and the rest is in subarachnoid space. Rate of formation of CSF is approximately 0.35 milliliter per minute, which comes to 500 ml per day. Meaning CSF is completely replaced about 3.7 times per day. The comparison between CSF and plasma is more or less similar but not identical. In CSF, the protein content and the glucose are less than the plasma. Glucose would be 2 by 3rd of blood glucose. In case of sodium ion and chloride ion is slightly higher than the plasma. In case of osmolality and bicarbonate, more or less same in the plasma. So remember, CSF is a modified plasma with much lower protein and cell content. Now let's see how CSF circulates through the brain and the spinal cord. It follows the definite pathway. We know a CSF is produced in the choroid plexus of lateral ventricles. Here the choroid plexus present in the lateral ventricle flows through the foramen of Monro to the third ventricle, then through the aqueduct of Sylvius it enter into the fourth ventricle. From fourth ventricle it passes out through 3 openings, one median aperture foramina of Magendie and 2 lateral apertures foramina of Lusca. These openings allow the CSF to enter into the subarachnoid space around the brain and spinal cord. Finally, CSF is absorbed into the venous blood through arachnoid granulations and villi into the superior sagittal sinus. This is the lateral ventricle. Here from choroidal plexus of lateral ventricle through the foramen of Monro. Foramen of Monro is also known as interventricular foramen. From lateral ventricle through the foramen of Monro, CSF enter into the third ventricle. Then from third ventricle, it passes into fourth ventricle via aqueduct of Sylvius. From fourth ventricle to subarachnoid space, it goes through foramen Magendie and foramen Lusca. These 2 foramens are derived from inferior medullary vellum of fourth ventricle. This is about the circulation of CSF. Let's move into the function of CSF, the most important exam question. The function, it acts as a shock absorber, protecting the brain and spinal cord from mechanical injury. Then it supplies nutrients like glucose, ions to nervous tissue. Then it also maintains constant intracranial pressure, regulatory function. We know normal intracranial pressure is about 70 to 180 mm of H2O. We have to calculate the pressure of CSF in the manner of H2O by using a H2O, not by using a mercury. Average intracranial pressure would be 112 mm of H2O. So CSF maintain the intracranial pressure constantly. Then the absorption of CSF is mainly through arachnoid villi and granulations. especially through the superior sagittal sinus. Absorption is a pressure dependent process. It increases when CSF pressure exceeds venous pressure. Then the clinical importance. We know CSF, for CSF study, we have to do lumbar puncture. Lumbar puncture at the level of L3 to L4 or L4 to L5. Right. Abnormal findings of CSF examination and pressure are very important in diagnosing CNS disease. Abnormal findings are congenital hydrocephalus. That means if any obstruction at the point of foramen of Monro, that will leads to lateral ventricular dilation and increased pressure. Right. This is the congenital hydrocephalus. This is the picture of congenital hydrocephalus. Another abnormality is Dandy Walker syndrome. That means obstruction is happen at foramen of Magendie or foramen of Lusca. That will leads to dilation of fourth ventricle. This is also the picture of foramen Monro obstruction, interventricular foramen obstruction, that will cause the lateral ventricle to be dilated. Then we have another abnormalities are CSF leak, maybe due to any trauma or any surgery. We can see rhinorrhea, that means CSF leakage from nose, or otorrhea. Otorrhea is a CSF leakage from ear. Then the post lumbar puncture headache. When we do a CSF puncture, CSF extraction, that will leads to decreased CSF volume, thereby decreasing the cushioning effect. Traction in a brain cause a headache. That's why it's called as a post lumbar puncture headache. That's all about CSF. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more medical topics. Thank you. Thank you so much.